Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of Post Fight. And in this edition of Post Fight, I'll be doing UFC Fight Night, Vettori versus Cannonier, Post Fight. So Post Fight, UFC Fight Night, Vettori versus Cannonier. So for this card, I went 6-5-1, 6 of 11, or you say 6 of 12, but really we do wins and losses. You do all that little draw this, no contest this, like that, just pointless. So what's the WL ratio? WL ratio was 6-5, 6 of 11. Well, yeah, 6 of 11. Yeah, 6-5, 6 of 5. But anyway, so yeah, definitely not happy with this card at all. But I guess you could say the pat on the back, go easy on yourself for this card would be, well, it was a high dog rate, this card. It was like out of 11 fights, nearly half of them were dog victories. And at least initially, you started off good on dogs. You were like two of the dogs, and then eventually the dog started biting you. You were on the dog side, then towards the end of that main event, like that main card, the dog started biting you back, and they went on your side this time. But yeah, so nearly half of the 11 fights, so 5 of 11 fights were dogs, and yeah, so I'm gonna look at these L's. I think probably the real biggest L, matter of fact, the main event and co-main, that's the biggest L's. The other one, like, who cares? But the main event for me, that's those ones that sting. But yeah, those are the ones that sting. But let me just actually run up the card and then kind of talk about those a little bit, then wrap this video up. So yeah, first L was well, the first L wasn't a yeah, the first L actually was Modestas Bukauskas versus Zach Pogba. And this is one of these fights where I really don't care as far as like what happened, especially not just because I don't care about the fight. I didn't care watching the fight. I feel Zach Pogba won, in my opinion. I feel like he hurt Bukauskas in the first and second. Also got the control time in the first round as well. Also what hurt him, I think he had him down like 2 minutes of control time in that first round, so that should have been clear round for Pogba. I think second round, the striking total was relatively close. Maybe I said, Bukauskas landed 13 more strikes, but Bukauskas got rocked and needed a cage to prevent himself from falling down. It was getting pressure back, hitting with body shots and stuff. It was on the back foot the whole round, getting tagged up, eating the heavy shots, and getting notably rocked. Third round, you got to see you leaning at the Bukauskas, because yeah, Bukauskas didn't really get hurt, and he actually landed the first shot that he really got Pogba's attention in that round. So he was landed more, was cleaner in that round, and he was the one who did the damage in that one versus the first and second round. So I feel like it should have been a clear. I mean, should have been a clear decision for Pogba. But do I say it's a robbery? No. Do I really care too much? No. But it's not. It's like nothing to say like, oh, I need to learn from this. What I will learn from this is that I know Pogba will get diced up in his next couple fights. He's not gonna have a great UFC career. He just had made a whole lot of mistakes that Bukauskas largely wasn't able to take advantage of. I say he just got back. He just was in that fight off heart and will. He was winning off heart and will. His technique was pretty sloppy most of the fight, if not the whole fight. And Bukauskas on the side wasn't able to take advantage of those things. And we saw Bukauskas' takedown defense not look that good. Saw Bukauskas' defense not look that good. We saw Bukauskas not look that well. Didn't do that well with pressure. So it's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna be able to exploit that in this weight class or in the UFC. So no knock against either of them, but going forward, all I can say is I'm not not looking likely to lean to either of them going forward, especially not Pogba. Pogba is probably not going to get the decisions that he probably could win, and the mistakes he's making, somebody's going to make him pay for. So Pogba is not going to be on the good side of anything, and I don't think he'll make no great evolution in his career. He's going to come in there, come in better shape, try to make a little bit better decision, but the lack of technique is going to continue to show, and eventually somebody's going to make him pay for it. Yeah, what's the next L? Oh yeah, the next L should have been Ronnie Lawrence versus Daniel Argueta. And I'm happy that they turned that into a no contest, but in reality, that probably should have been a sub for Daniel Argueta. But hey, I got off easy on that one. I'm glad I got off easy. That would have been a 500 card. So hey, I'm at least a little bit above 500. But hey, I'm happy it was a no contest. On the moment, I was happy, for sure. But yeah, I feel like Daniel Argueta looked better than I. They matched him up immediately after. I got to go with Daniel Argueta. Or if I were betting, I'd probably just leave it alone, because I definitely could see ways that Ronnie Lawrence could come back into the fight and, do better in a rematch. But yeah, I'd probably go Daniel Argueta, probably like average confidence day rematch, about average confidence and about average investment, but wouldn't go no crazy with that one at all. So that was the I guess 1.5 L or one in no contest. So now to the second L. So that was my only L on the Pogba loss. Was the only L on the prelims. I really got butchered on the main card. And yeah, let's jump to our second L. So second L was Dalby versus Muslim Salikov. And yeah, yet another. So Nicholas Dalby versus Muslim Salikov. Yet another L that I really don't care too much about. I didn't put no investment in Muslim Salikov at all. I know what type of fighter Nicholas Dalby was. I feel like Muslim Salikov should have been the fighter to win. But I knew what type of fighter Dalby is, and like he's a hot and cold fighter. He's well rounded. He's tough. He's skilled. Got good cardio. You know, he's solid everywhere. He's a guy that you can't just sleep on, and like he can definitely rally and do stuff like what he did in that performance. Like go out and start to wear on Muslim Salikov, outwork him, and then when he started to grind him out, score takedowns on him, and like again, do what he did there. So that's why my confidence was, I think was low. I think it was average, like low there. But going forward, Dalby talking about top 15. He not beating no top 15 fighters or nothing. I don't think he not beating no top 15 fighters. And maybe if Neil Magny's top now, Neil Magny can outdo what Dalby does, like or be that big long blanket. It'd be a good fight, but I would have to lean Neil Magny still in this one. So yeah, top 15, he definitely losing. So he calling for his own loss by saying he won a top 15 fight to celebrate his 30th fight in his career. He ain't gonna get an L if he won top 15 unless they give him somebody like don't answer his requests and give him somebody lower than that. Maybe he can win, but top 15 he not beating no one top 15. He pushing 40. He's been doing good to maintain himself, but he's not really evolving at all. But he's doing well to stay in shape and stay true to him who he is. But again, the sport's always evolving, and he's not evolving. So and he's getting older, and these guys are gonna pick him apart in top 15. But Salikov on the side. The fact that he lost could be good for him, or at least for his next fight, because he could come in at lesser value, and probably fight a guy that's lower on the totem pole, and he could potentially win that one. I think both of these guys can still pick up lots of wins in the UFC, but I think both of these guys are going to just be stuck in the middle. They're not going any further. Neither of these guys will be top 15 at any more points in their career. So at this point, they're both pushing 40. Neither of them are truly evolving. Top 15. They're not reaching no rank. They're not getting no ranking. Is all I'm saying. So you see them in a fight that could potentially get them ranked. In reality, that's a lock against them. But hey, good performance from Dalby. And yeah, but he not breaking into the top 15. I know that for sure. So that's my second L. Third L, what's his name? Pat Sabatini versus Lucas Almeida. My third L right here. And what can I learn from this one right here? I think my issue with this one was, where I went wrong with this one right here is, and again, it ain't put no great investment in him, in Almeida. I knew this was like low comp. I knew this was like a, flip a coin, roll the dice type of pick. And but I was like, I know what Pat Sabatini could do. I know how the fight could have played out. The fight played out how it could play out. But the thing was that I didn't really know where Almeida's grappling was, but I knew how Pat Sabatini, doesn't deal well with getting tagged. Like maybe Almeida, like he had some BJJ chops. I'm saying he don't have no Sabatini grappling chops and things like that, and clearly this fight shows that he ain't nowhere near that. I ain't believe that either. I just thought maybe he had enough in him to maybe be able to address the grappling enough, be able to defend takedown a little bit better, and to be able to get some effective offensive striking going on and start to tag Sabatini and make him uncomfortable, be able to finish him. But Sabatini was underneath him. He showed like this is where his level was at, and he's not there. Like he's not on that level. Am I high on Pat Sabatini? I'm not. That dude would get messed up by anybody decent, and I will continue to stand on that. But I gotta stop picking against Sabatini in these little low-level fights. Like low-level fights, I gotta stop picking against Sabatini. That's just a bad pattern of mine to pick against Sabatini in a low fight. He'll sell in low fights. You put him in there with some guy that's actually decent, some real top 15 fights, some real contenders, some real guys that's really in the sport, really trying to do something, not just here to be here. They're going to embarrass Sabatini every single time. And that Damon Jackson fight said enough. And Damon Jackson not really here to be here. I mean, he feel like he here, but Damon Jackson really ain't that dude. And for him to make you tap and strikes, that's all you need to know about who Pat Sabatini is. So good win for him. But yeah, I'll say Pat Sabatini is a guy that's going to sell against the lower level guys. But anybody ranked, I feel like he never going to break, especially with that Damon Jackson fight. That kind of just sealed his fate. That guy never breaking into the top 15. Well, I might be over saying a little bit, but I say for sure he's not breaking into the top 10. He might eke into the top 15, but top 10, he not. Those guys are stopping him. And Lucas Almeida, I don't know. I guess he's just a fighter that's you're more than likely going to fade going forward. But maybe with the right matchup, they give him some guy that's debuting or something. Maybe some guy that's going to strike with him and bang with him. Probably go favor him in those fights, or maybe he'd be a good dog in those fights. But somebody's actually solid, they're going to beat him every single time. So his stocks drop heavily, and Sabatini, his stocks kind of stay the same. They don't really elevate. They kind of just he just back on, like it goes up a little bit, but I still know who he is, or at least I know where his ceiling is at. The issue is where's his floor is at. That's the issue is finding his floor. The issue is not finding his ceiling. The issue is finding his floor. And that was with my third L, I believe. Yeah, third L. Now my fourth L, and this was like one of those big L's because I put high confidence in Christian Leroy Duncan, and on the better side, I'm not saying I went crazy on like, oh my gosh, I bet thousands of dollars. I'm not there yet. I'm not the guy betting thousands of dollars. But hey, if I was $1,000 better, that probably would be a pick without having bet $1,000. Because like I said, if I had the bankroll for that and I did dumb stuff like that, well, I would say dumb, but I feel it was a smart pick at the time. I feel it was smart plays at the time, but it wasn't. So yeah, the fourth L was Armin Petrosian versus Christian Leroy Duncan. I went with Christian Leroy Duncan here, and yeah, I think my issue here it was yet again going overconfident in a fighter who had not yet proven himself. Yes, he beat a guy yes, he beat Todorovic. It was by injury, which is also not good. He beat him by injury, so the fight didn't get to play out. But nonetheless, I think he would have stopped Todorovic and beat him pretty easily. But again, Todorovic didn't really accomplish much in the UFC, so they don't really account to much. Like, oh, you beat Todorovic, congrats. But nothing don't really mean much. And he hadn't really had a chance to have 2, 3, 4 fights, and you get to see who he is in the UFC. Like maybe have some confidence in, maybe like average confidence in, like, oh, average confidence. I see a lot of talent in this dude, but he has not yet to prove himself. So ain't yet going high confidence. And also, this isn't the best stylistic matchup. It's like both guys are high level strikers. It's not like he's going up a guy that got a grappler with like a pure BJJ guy with no takedown offense, so you could just pick him apart on the feet, or go on there with this guy that believes he can strike but mediocre on the feet. He'll pick him apart. Versus a guy that's actually pretty solid and competent like Armin Petrosian. Yeah, so I definitely big overestimated his grappling. So I overestimated his grappling. Matter of fact, Petrosian might be the better wrestler grappling than him. Like his grappling did not look the best at all. And on the feet, he was kind of all scattered over the place. I don't know if that's just his game, or he was a little bit uncomfortable by Petrosian, so he was just trying to make Petrosian uncomfortable. So he was a little bit uncomfortable by Petrosian, and then he tried to make Petrosian uncomfortable, so he switched the uncomfortability over onto Petrosian. And it did kind of work a little bit, but ultimately Petrosian just he just stuck on the kicks a lot. That was largely what won him the fight. He just stuck on the kicks. Not saying that was all that won him the fight, but as far as what the most consistent strike landing was the leg kicks. You're gonna do all the spinning stuff. Your feet ain't gonna levitate. You're gonna do all the spinning stuff. You're still gonna be planting on your foot. So you can do all that stuff missed. I'm gonna kick you in the leg. Once you come back to once you reset, you're getting kicked in the leg. Once you reset, kicked in the leg. Once you reset, kicked in the leg. Kicked in the leg. And then you don't want to spin this stuff. Let me just rip you to the body, bring some shots over the top, work behind the jab. You don't want this flashy stuff, and I'm doing the simple stuff, spending less energy and just landing the cleaner, more consistent shots. And by working behind the cleaner, consistent shots, then I start finding the better shots open up for me versus you trying to make these flashy shots that's not going to land, or not going to land flush like you want them to. Yeah, Petrosian was just the more cleaner, more fundamental striker, and that won him the fight. So going for Christian Leroy Duncan, his stocks drop a whole lot, but there's definitely a lot of promise behind him. But I think for now, his stocks drop significantly. I definitely think he can win a lot of fights in this weight class, but he got to prove on a lot of things and maybe get some better stylistic matchups. But yeah, his stocks drop significantly, and he got to hope that he gets a big step down in competition so that he can actually pick up some wins. Versus they try to keep him at the same level, he might get cut from UFC. Not to say that he's not good or not this, not that, but he definitely got to make some adjustments. If you have issues in the grappling with Petrosian, say they put you in with some of these grapplers like these Bo Nichols and these other people in there, that's actually gonna rush you up. Or I don't know, I'm trying to think of another name right now, but it's a couple. Matter of fact, a couple. I just said the same thing in a row. I just glitched. matter of fact, but there's a couple real good grapplers in this weight class that are coming off losses, or maybe not in the best position. They aren't on a hot streak, so they still could somewhat be or the Sharks could be very much in the water with you. They might not be coming off a loss. They might be on a 1-fight winning streak, might be on a 2-fight winning streak, but they aren't on big hot streaks like, all right, I'm on a hot streak. I ain't worried about no Christian Leroy Duncan. I'm trying to get top 15, top 10. Like, nah, they're like, I need some wins. And hey, Christian Leroy Duncan, you looking like an easy win for me. You looking like easy money. And he's still like, so he's in a good and also a dangerous spot. Dangerous spot, but hey, they believe in his perspective or anything. They could definitely match him up with easier opponents. But even against easy opponents right now, I don't think I'll ever go more than. I didn't go high. I didn't go more than high with this one, but I think I don't know. Maybe I was gonna say I'm gonna go average with Christian Leroy Duncan from this point on if I am leaning him until he proves me otherwise or makes some improvements. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna go. Probably, I'm probably saying that, but I ain't sure about that. I definitely ain't gonna lock with him. High confidence, and probably not. Most likely average confidence with him, and maybe even low confidence with him going forward until he stands out his game a little bit. I'm a Petrosian, good win for him, but I still think he is who he is. He ain't gonna be no elite middleweight, I don't think. But he definitely could pick up some wins. He could definitely be that spoiler guy. Like, you gotta look at him as a spoiler. If he coming in a dog, or you think, you underestimate him, and maybe get him with somebody that's gonna strike with him. Yeah, definitely the striking upsetter. Good, but you going in with a guy that could grapple him for 15, for 3 rounds hard. Yeah, definitely got faith against that. But you're a grappler that's gonna try to strike with him, or a hybrid fighter that's gonna try to strike with him. He's definitely a live dog in those cases. And yeah, so now fifth and final L was the main event: Jerry Cannonier versus Marvin Vettori, or Marvin Vettori versus Jerry Cannonier. And yet again, with high confidence with Vettori, a lot of investments in here, so it was a decent card up until the main card, and then the main card just ruined the whole card for me, at least maybe on the betting side. But as far as the prediction side, hey, still went positive prediction side, but betting side, these last 2 fights pretty much for the most part ruined it. For the most part, and it still ain't was a bad night necessarily, but it wasn't a good night. It wasn't a positive night. But as far as prediction wise, it was a positive night. But yeah, these last 2 fights messed me up. And Vettori against Cannonier, when high confidence Vettori, he had the Iron Chin, and Iron Chin held up. But the bad thing is he allows Iron Chin to just make him a punching bag, just use his chin to be a punching bag. The world's best punching bag, Marvin Vettori. Like, he didn't, he allowed Cannonier to mix it up more than he mixed it up. He had a great first round, and then after that, he just was on survival mode for the most part. Had a couple little moments in there between, but the first round started real well for him. But the rest of the fight was just a highlight reel for Jared Cannonier, especially that second round. Second round, he just made mincemeat of him that second round. But yeah, Vettori is supposed to be the younger fighter, like a whole decade younger, the bigger fighter. Supposed to have that world-rounded skill set. He supposed to have that BJJ black belt. I think he went for 1 takedown the whole fight and didn't go for more. Matter of fact, Cannonier got like 3 or 4 takedowns on him, and that's kind of odd. And yeah, so Vettori didn't mix it up. He just looked to strike. And if Vettori just gonna strike, hey, yeah, Cannonier was, matter of fact, probably a high or lock bet if Vettori was gonna strike as much as he did. Like, he didn't look to mix in takedowns as much. He didn't look to maybe do a couple combinations, get some underhooks or something. Look to start the level change and work for some takedowns. He didn't really do that much this whole fight. Matter of fact, his only takedown was almost responsive to the fact that Cannonier was trying to clinch with him, and then he was able to switch position and get a takedown for a brief moment. So he really didn't mix his game up. He just primarily shot. Maybe he was scared of getting caught with an uppercut, like intercepting an uppercut. Maybe he feared that that's the only way he's going to knock me out if I run into a punch, like while I'm going for a takedown, so I'm not going to do that. But you weren't going to beat Cannonier in a pure striking matchup, and the fight that said the obvious. I thought Vettori would mix it up. He, again, posed at that BJJ black belt. We have seen it at times. We have seen the wrestling at times against Holland. We have seen him submit, lower tier middleweights. So we have seen that BJJ, or at least we have seen the wrestling and stuff, the skills, the chops of him. But barely utilized it in this fight, and it's primarily strike with Cannonier, and that caused him to lose. But ain't gonna take too much away from Cannonier. Cannonier went in there, 39 years old, still improving, still getting better. And on his side, applaud him. The man went for some takedowns, got some real good, powerful takedowns on Vettori. Looked very strong, looked very composed out there. Those takedowns look real smooth, look real clean, real set up. So, showing improvements. Look at his grab. So his grappling improved. So claps to him. A good improvement on the grappling. Look good on the feet and stuff. But his feelings is already set. Like, he ain't beating no Whitaker or beating no Adesanya. Just hope he don't lose to no Dricus du Plessis. But I feel he should be able to beat Dricus du Plessis if that fight ever happens. But we know for sure he ain't beating no Whitaker and no beating no Adesanya. But yeah, he'll probably maybe get a second title shot. Because the division might be moving a little bit slow right now. or maybe they'll match him against Khamzat Chimaev or something like that, and that'd be Khamzat Chimaev's chance to qualify. That's probably exactly what's going to happen. They probably going to give Cannonier Khamzat Chimaev. Does Khamzat Chimaev already got a fight coming up? I think it's supposed to be tossed to fight at Usman, but who knows? They might try to give him Cannonier, hopes that if he beats Cannonier, then he's qualified for a title shot now in that middleweight. And then maybe they give him Usman, and now he's qualified at 2 weight classes because they just want to have him in the mix. Like, oh, we want to have him at middleweight for a title shot. We want to have him at welterweight so he can have options to play with. But, yeah, but that's pretty much what's going on. He either going to get a title shot in a slow era, like a slow period in the weight class right now where, Adesanya has pretty much beat everyone except, getting that rematch with Pereira and, evening out, winning the trilogy. And the trilogy's kind of just off the tables for now because Pereira's staying at 205 or whatnot. So, yeah, it's gonna be a slow period in the weight class for now. Who's Adesanya even fighting right now? I forget who he even fight. Like they give him I guess he waiting, hoping that Dricus du Plessis wins, so he can get Dricus du Plessis. And if not, then he probably fighting Whitaker for the 3rd time. So yeah, definitely a slow period in the weight class. Now you're gonna start repeating the same fighters, unless some new challenger appears. So if Dricus du Plessis wins, that's a new challenger. But if not, then probably Whitaker, the most foreseeable outcome, gonna win. And then he gonna fight Adesanya. Adesanya gonna beat him, most foreseeable outcome. And then nobody new coming in the mix. Then Cannonier gonna get that second chance, and he gonna lose. So Whitaker have a small chance of winning. I know Cannonier ain't had no chance of beating Adesanya. Adesanya gonna pick him apart and dance and kick his legs for 5 rounds again. And Cannonier gonna look like a deer in headlights. And yeah, that's gonna be the fight. That's gonna be the fight. But interesting thing would probably Ikram Alexerov. Maybe they hope he beats Paulo Costa and something or something like that. But and then maybe he fights Cannonier for a title eliminator, maybe or something like that. Or maybe Paulo Costa beats Ikram Alexerov, and that makes him more interesting. That he fights Cannonier, and then maybe that's an interesting title eliminator. But yeah, great win for Cannonier. I would say great win for Cannonier. Great win for Cannonier. And Vettori, that just makes him look even more lost. You're 29 years old, and you're already kind of getting shut out by the elites in the weight class. This is like really supposed to be your time where you're at least supposed to be like, I'm the number 3 guy. Like I'm gonna be the third. I'm gonna be one of the 4 royal guards or the 4 this. Like we got Whitaker. He's gonna hold the fort down. We got Vettori. We got Cannonier. And we got me. Or whatnot. I think I said him twice. So we got Whitaker, Cannonier, Vettori, and I don't know who's the 4th one. Was supposed to be Hermanson or something, but maybe Strickland. But yeah, they supposed to hold the fort down. But to be on the bottom of all 4, not a good look. Or roughly around the bottom, like. But hey, the good thing is he is so young that Cannonier ain't gonna be around for 3-4 more years. But out of the way, Vettori, he never touch and go. Even like with Cannonier retiring, maybe Adesanya retiring, it's gonna be someone else that's gonna come around and beat him. And he just already showing that, yeah, I'm not that guy. Kind of like what's his name, Curtis Blades at heavyweight. Like, how many times I gotta show you I'm not that guy? And this is yet another performance that showed you I'm not that guy. And now obviously Vettori would never look like the guy to be the champ, but he leads like a guy that's gonna be to beat just about everyone else outside of Whitaker and Adesanya. But this fight shows even more. Like even shows deepens his floor. Like you could lose to Cannonier as well. Matter of fact, Cannonier messes you up. I'm talking too much now. I'm like, what are you even talking about? The fights, the predictions are over. I mean, the recap's over. Now you talk about future fights and stuff, and that's not the theme of this video, and that's not what I'm trying to make it any either. So, yeah. So my biggest L's are definitely, Vettori and Duncan. But I'll look to bounce back next week, and I definitely think I could. And some people in that card, I could invest heavily in that card, and maybe not invest so much in these little shaky people, but I do feel confident in some people, and I could go full in on these people. Folks like this week, which was our weekend, wasn't so good. Another thing I would say, Siakrin. One little last note. I think Armin Siakrin, I feel his stock actually dropped with this fight he had tonight or yesterday, because the next day now. But I feel his stocks dropped. But it's a good thing for him, to be honest, in my opinion. I feel like he would have had a good dominant performance this fight. Then they would probably say, oh my gosh, this guy is the truth. And they would try to rush him to a title shot or rush him to a top 5 fight. And he probably would have lost. But I feel maybe he still feels like he should jump up and get a top 5 fight and should be ready for a title shot. But this performance says quite literally otherwise. So I feel give him some more easy fights and allow him to, you know, a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years to sharpen his tools, and then maybe give him that top 5 fight. Well, he ain't gonna get on 2 years, maybe a year. Maybe a year, maybe 2 more fights, a year or 2 more fights, and then give him a top 5 guy, allow him to clean himself up a little bit, fine tune his skills and stuff, and then then put him in that top 5, top 7, whatever you want to say, fights, and then work his way up to a title shot against Islam Makhachev or whoever is the reigning champion at that time. So, but as of right now, I think this fight he had against Joaquin Silva clearly said, like, you ain't ready yet. You might think you're ready yet. You might even feel you're ready yet after this fight, but you're not ready. And that's for your favorite. That ain't no insult to you, like, oh, he ain't good, he ain't this, he a fraud. It ain't like that. It's like, nah. For your sake and for your favor, for the best the best outcome for you, you need to pump the brakes a little bit and level up a little bit before you start really talking about top 5 and all that stuff and title shots, because that's not a title fight or even a performance that's gonna make anybody at the top say, oh my gosh, that guy's ready. It's not. So yeah, that's the card. So I went 6-5 in 1, 6 of 11, win-loss ratio 6 wins, 5 losses. Not the greatest card. A lot of dogs bit. So you can say, hey, it was a tough card. You still ended up on the positive as far as prediction side, but not a card I'm happy with, and I definitely want to go next week and do much better. I thought this week would be much better, but hey, the main card had other dogs. But next week, looking to do even better and actually have a card I could be happy about. So that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.